actually. I'm tripping. And today, if you are new here, I usually rewind and review. What is it called? Abbott Elementary. I have not done so in a while, and not sure if I am going to continue on when the new season begins. But today I will be reading a Reddit post. And this Reddit post is from it's in the mildly infuriating subreddit because yes, that is mildly infuriating when you get that list and it's a very long list and then you wonder to yourself, why? Why is this list so long? And I will be the first one to say, when my child started school, elementary school, I was in college. And she came home with this list. And if you're a first time mom, you're excited to do all of the things that the teacher asks if you're a I don't want to say a good parent because you could be busy, but for the most part, you want to get all of the things that your child needs or whatever the teacher may need. That's the type of parent that I am. So she came out with this this list, and it was like 30 pencils, uh, two reams of paper, four boxes of tissue, the Clorox wipes, and it was so many things on that list. Mind you, my child was in going to elementary school and I was in college. So I bought myself some of the things that were on that list as well. And needless to say, I have never used one full pencil and to the point where I sharpened it down to the eraser and then I was like, okay, now I need another pencil. So why did my child need 48 pencils? And I'm in college writing quite a bit, okay? So the fact that my child needed 48 pencils or 52 pencils and I not going through one was like, okay, at some point this list is going to make sense. I even had one teacher request white cheddar popcorn on the list. I bought it, foolish me. And it was a bunch of other stuff, chocolate syrup and some other stuff on that list. And I was like, okay, so what, when is this popcorn going to come into play? And it never did. So I really believe that she took that popcorn home and she ate it. And I also believe that, are y'all taking the school supplies back to the store? Like, what is happening with all of those school supplies? I myself have yet to finish, and then I started going for my master's degree. I have yet needed all of those supplies on the list. Teachers, please tell us something because I'm in preschool, okay? And I do send home donation supply lists. Like I will ask for some things and hopefully and hope that the teachers get them or the parents get them. And if they don't, no big deal. But when they do, finger heart, I am so appreciative for the supplies that they do give me. But it is not like their child is going to be sitting there not able to color because they didn't bring in crayons. Now, what I have done is I have on my donation list in my newsletter, I always say thank you. And I always show us using the supplies. You think I ever got a picture of my baby with a pencil? And then let's top it all off. In the middle of the year, my child will come home like, Mommy, I need some pencils. You need some what? Because I just bought 54 at the start of the year and I'm still working on my one pencil. So why do you need more? Like, somebody tell me something. Now, if they say, this list is just, for donations and we're going to divide the supplies among the school, then it would make sense. But as far as I'm concerned, none of that happened. So I really want to know what happened to that list. Hello to all my tens of friends. Thank you so much for joining in. Now let's get into this post. So again, it is in the mildly infuriating subreddit, and it is from user C Low Green. How many Beyonces are on the Reddit, or Rihanna's and Cardi's are are on the Reddits? Okay. So it's like, I'm slightly vexed. I am a middle school teacher in Florida, and I have a very simple list. I required a spiral notebook, pens, pencils, color pencils, and note cards. No specific style or size, just as long as you have them. Before schedule pickup, we are required to post the list on our doors so students and their parents can walk around and take pictures. I was walking around and I realized some of my colleagues are requiring crazy, weird, obscure, and expensive supplies. Yes, teachers, knock it off. We work at a public school in a not so great area, so I feel this is ridiculous. Like, where are they supposed to get this T9 calculator? We work at, wait, I read that. Some of them are asking for binders with all these dividers, and crazy amounts of composition books or certain specific notebooks. And then you know what's crazy? The teachers do not let you use next year those composition books that you never used all of. So yeah. If you're a teacher out there, make the supply list simple. Yes, thank you so much, CeeLo Green. Everyone's hurting for money, especially those going to public school. Let me know what you all think about this supply list, because it's coming. If you haven't gotten it yet, oh, it's coming. It's worse than my one of my children are in a higher education, and her list was like post-its, pencils, and notebooks. Like, what are we doing? So we have Kayla Schrunner replies and says, my mom always got mad that I didn't ask for specific things earlier when they were on sale. When we didn't get the supply list until after school started and the sale ended. Yikes. To be fair, the OP says, at least some Broward County teachers don't know whether they're teaching until we get back the week before school starts. Interesting. And then we post our supply list on our door for scheduled pickup, which is the day after we get back. Oh. Pahua says, God forbid anyone commenting in your post has any empathy whatsoever. They are only blaming the teachers. Last year, the only supply I asked for was almost 200 students with a single notebook. I even provided tons and tons of writing utensils, and I still wound up buying a bunch of them, which students promptly lost. Is that what happened? Did they lose the things? I always have a healthy supply of pencils, the OP says. We get $300 a year to buy a supply, so I usually get about $50 worth of pencils from the dollar store, which equal out to about 500 pencils. Luckily for me, most of the kids at least have a notebook and a pencil. So I usually don't go through all of those pencils. Plus, my mom and other family members donate supplies to our classroom. Shout out to your family. We used to be a Title I school, which meant that we could go to tools for schools, which gave Title I schools free supplies. But unfortunately, the state raised the percentage, so now we are no longer a Title I school, and I lost access to those free supplies. Dang. Divaichai says, as a mom, I would get mad at the schools and teachers. So many stores had teachers/supply lists, but never from my kids' teachers or schools. So by the time we got the list, everything was gone. And I would say to any parent that is going to buy supplies, just get the basics. You're going to need at least one or two composition books, one or two notebooks, a binder, those dividers, about 5 dividers, pens, black or blue, and a red pen, maybe one red pen, and some color pencils. And if you want to go overboard, get the highlighters and the sticky notes and the stuff to decorate your kids' locker. Um, Grand Spring 66 says, I am a middle school teacher in Florida. When you set your career to hard mode, CeeLo Green, the OP, replies, says, not gonna lie, I love it. You wouldn't catch me dead in elementary school. I'm not the warmest person. I'm very cold and dry to the point, but I am somewhat flexible. Now and again, I think of moving to high school, but I am a night owl, and I wouldn't dream of getting up before 7, lol. Beefcake 1993 says, see, but that schedule, although early, lets me do all of the adult chores before everyone else gets off of work. Yep, oil changes, shopping, and post office run and are way better at 3 p.m. In our township, the kids go to school late. They have late start Monday, so I'm sure that really helps a bunch of teachers in getting things done and prepping and making errands and making phone calls and things like that. I personally would like for schools to just do away with Mondays. All in favor say aye. I really would like everyone to just do away with Mondays. Why do we need school on? We don't need school on Mondays. But what the poster says is you all need those supplies. Keiki Cookie says, if you have the same attitude and care for the students in all aspects that you show for school supplies, you probably are a favorite teacher. OP says, oh yeah, I love my kids and 99% of them like me as a teacher. Even the a-holes. I'm so sarcastic, it's hilarious. They don't get half of it. So probably knock it off. Uh, God, I can't think of that one teacher, Mr. Somebody. Um, he does a lot of skits. I believe he's a high school teacher. And his latest one that I saw was like having the students say, ask him stuff, and then he reply. And then the caption was like what he really want to say, because sometimes you just look at the kids like, yeah, so, all right. What you have to say versus what you say is, I don't know, maybe the OP could work on that, because calling the little kids a-holes, come on now. I also have those mini violins that you press the button and it plays the world's smallest violin music. Sorry, I lost the post. Just for them when they complain. Some kids downright hate me, but I don't care. A wise teacher once told me, they're 14 years old. Who the F cares what they have to say about you? I do. Well, I don't, I cannot do high school, won't do junior high, and I would probably do elementary school, but I care what they think about me, but not to the effect where it would just like ruin my life. Like, because I heard a teacher say in the beginning they might all dislike you, but the fact of the matter is you have to set those boundaries, those rules, and those standards when you first get in the classroom. So if the kids don't like you, it's typical. They will by the end of the year. So Extra Vague 90 says, my wife started a career in 911 dispatch, got sponsored, and went to the Sheriff's Academy and became a deputy. Butted heads and had admin issues and quit to become a middle school teacher. She's not eyeing juvenile probation or something in that line. Some people just don't want an easy life. I don't know what. Okay. OP says, yeah, I didn't even, wait. Let's go to Procrastinator Supreme, missing an E, says, about 10 years ago, a friend had a list where an English teacher wanted each kid to have a red highlighter. I don't even think Amazon has those. Like, knock it off. She had 2 kids with the English teacher, so she needed 2. The only way to buy a red highlighter is to buy a huge set that costs $20. It had highlighters in every possible color, multiple yellows, pinks, greens, reds, and only one red. Her kids are rule followers and didn't want to get in trouble showing up with any other color, so she had to buy $40 worth of highlighters for two reds. I am a former teacher and I absolutely love school supplies. I have never seen a red highlighter in every year. I keep looking for them. I've never heard of them, so you're not alone. OP said, "Yeah, I didn't even know red highlighters existed." LOL. Mental Trade says, "We've bought all the required materials in the past only to have them not be used." That's where I'm at. I don't think all of those supplies get used. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I don't believe it. We have tons of stuff from previous years, so we won't be buying anything new for a while. And that's how it is for me. I am a preschool teacher and I do have children who go to school, but because my silly self kept buying that supply year list year after year, first year, I sent my kid to school with all of the supplies. And as time went on, I started rationing out those supplies. Like, no, you're not taking all of this to school, because then it became a time where the teacher was like, don't put your name on it. Okay, so you are going to share my baby supplies with the school. Okay, I mean, but let us know. I don't have a problem with helping the other students in school by donating supplies, but let me know. So yeah, so it got to the point where I have this school year, my kids was like, "Mommy, buy me," and I'm like, "You better go to that supply closet." And turns out I did need to buy more binders, because I'm kind of like, if I have a binder and it has stuff in it, like from one of, especially in college for me, from one of the previous years, I'm keeping all that. I'm not going to take those things out of the binder, so I need a new binder. So yeah, they all needed binders and dividers, and those were like the things that I really needed to buy. Other than that, they really have pencils, papers, notebooks, composition books to last probably the rest of their education, especially considering that the kids use computers to type. So why we need 68 pencils? CeeLo Green, the OP, replies, says, "I guarantee you in my class, we use all of it. I'd like them to use the computer to find information into them, but all assignments are written down." I forgot this fan was on, so I'm going to walk away in a second and turn that fan on. "I use the new cards religiously for vocabulary. The color pencils are used all the time because I do a lot of art-based projects. I teach history, so we do a lot of comic strips and one-pagers with illustrations based on historical events and eras." And thank you for tuning in, friends. Give me a second. I will be right back because I gotta turn this fan off. I think it is probably going to create a lot of, it sounds better for everyone. But thank you to all of my friends for tuning in. Again, this Reddit post is titled "The Craziness of Required Supplies for a Middle School Teacher's School from a Teacher's Perspective." I wish you would have told us what they do with all of those supplies, though. Um, and where were we? Holy Cotton Candy says, "As a parent of a soon to be eighth grader, thank you for keeping it simple. I spent over 200 for his supplies this year, and that's not including his discovery class supply or the book that's required for English." You a what grade? Eighth grader. Why they buying their own books? I mean, I understand book fees, but what? I think I'll just give him the copy of the same book I use for the same class, so I don't need to order it from Amazon. Hmm? How old is your book? OP says, yeah, that's ridiculous. I teach eighth grade, and those are my supplies for my U.S. history. My philosophy is unless it's a specialized class like art, then you should be able to get all of your required supplies at the dollar store. And I agree. Hello, Brooklyn T. Pink highlighter said 46 says, I guess I would need to see the list, but I don't think a binder with dividers or composition books are crazy. Me either. Some people might think your note cards and colored pencils are excessive. I don't. OP replies and says, those are just some basic examples. Some of have extremely specifics like notebook binders, like one teacher needed three composition books for some reason. One teacher, three composition books. What are you doing? Just in general, all you need for school is a notebook, pens, pencils, basics. I always supply them with color pencils if they need it, but 99% of my students bring their own. If my student don't have note cards, then I show them the paper method where they fold up a paper a few times and they can make homemade note cards. My type of teacher, because when I tell you improvisation is the way to go, it is. Uh, my school is not great, it's not in a great area, so money is tight all around. All the stuff on my list you can get in the dollar store. They are readily available. Desert Boots says three composition books can make sense for certain subjects. No, it can't. Chemistry, lecture notes, lab notes, and the actually turn in for lab separate. Okay, I get that separate book so teachers can grade them. Foreign language, general notes, vocabulary, and verbs. It sounds like you could just write in different parts of the notebook. Like you still don't need three notebooks for one subject. Divide it, like post something on one page at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you can divide that composition book into three sections so that you only need one. The OP says, I'm talking about middle school. They really just need the basics. Spiral notebooks, pens, and pencils, maybe note cards, depending on what math you take. You may need a specific calculator. Thanks. Infinity Terminated says, what's crazy is I graduated and went back in the office and all that stuff was just in the supply closet. No one was checking who used it or why. The office manager just ordered more whenever something ran out. That's crazy. OP say, yeah, that's how it is in a lot of school districts, but broader county, Florida, has a tourist, notoriously messed up, that's really the SH word, school district with messed up funding. But I love where I live, so it's whatever. People that live in Florida love Florida. The crazy part is, I hear it's very, very expensive. Hopelessly Bored says, I just bought two grandsons school supplies and a few uniforms, $400. I ain't freeze, but my brain did. $400 on school supplies? Straight like that. It's bad. It's tough out here. Aphrodite's Revenge says, my kindergarten supply list is at least $120. Kindergarten. Why do 5-year-olds need Clorox wipes and printer paper? I can answer that. So I would say you need this is funny. I don't know if he going off. But the OP, like for real. Okay, so I would say, why do 5-year-olds need Clorox wipes? To keep everybody well. The Clorox wipes is kind of like the class contribution. In some schools, the girls might have Clorox wipes and then the boys might have Kleenex. I, as a preschool teacher, say we use the mess out of those Clorox wipes and tissue. Um, let me tell y'all something. I used to, because kids who need to wipe their nose don't really need a whole full piece of tissue. So if y'all want to make this, make it and just give me an unlimited of supplies. I'll be having ideas. I'm still waiting on those triangles to come to fruition. But tissue, just like they have paper towel, perforated, tear it. Well, they need to do that with tissue because a lot of times you don't need a full tissue for a kid. I'm sorry, I just had a thought. I had a parent walk in one time, was like, y'all got some tissue? My baby nose running. They came to school with a runny nose, of course, stuff happens, whatever. So she come in and she's, whoa, baby, your baby didn't need them two tissues. Me, I get one tissue. I was used to be able to tear it in half and I would use that tissue, tuck the other half back in that box. Because a lot of times they don't need a full tissue. Now sometimes I need 4 or 5, but overall, 9 times out of 10, they need half a tissue. So I was just tearing my little tissues. Then I started buying them, and then I realized I can't just tear them like I used to. Now it's like you tear, and it's like a terrible tear, and then you tear, and it's like a, what y'all do to the tissues? I don't appreciate it. I need somebody to come out with perforated tissues that can be torn in half and send me a lifetime supply, whoever creates those. The OP replied to the Clorox post saying, not gonna lie, the teacher is keeping the Clorox wipes in the printer paper. The school district does not always supply the printer paper. As wild as it may sound, from my experience as working in a public school, you have to like you make copies and you have to fill out a little form on how many copies you made and all of that. So a lot of times they it's not an unlimited supply of copying paper. So to buy, and students need a lot of worksheets, especially in kindergarten. So I understand the Clorox wipes and the copy paper. But if you got 20 to 32 children in the classroom, 32 packages of copying paper, okay. Connect Go 8510 says, I truly don't mind buying what my kids need, but so often we buy what is asked for and it comes home at the end of the year never used. So at least y'all get y'all's back. We don't get it back. It's just like we send it to school and we to never be seen again. Um, or a notebook will have 4 pages used. Right, that's frustrating. Very, because mm-mm. The OP says, oh, I assure you they use almost every page, not every page of the notebook. Let me read that again. Oh, I assure you they use almost every page, not every page of the notebook. Okay, that one me. A lot of times they have to get another one. Okay, good. I like to use the computer to do research for projects and things like that, but I believe in writing stuff down. Shout out to this OP. Although they're a little, I like that he makes them write, or she, because the name is CeeLo Green. I'm assuming it's a male teacher, could be a woman, but I like that he has the students write things down, and I also like that he's not with the ridiculous supply list. Don't. And I didn't know that the teachers created the list. I thought it was like a district, principal type of thing, but teachers, teachers. Come on now. Perfect Dream 1372 said, I had 3 kids in elementary school. The supply list was so ridiculous. I told my kids to pick out the supplies that they really use. Every year, they require so many binders and notebooks and dividers. Then one year, a new teacher called me to say that my kid will get a reduced grade. Like it's the kid's fault. Anyway, for not being in compliance with the supplies, are they doing the work? I told her that I don't care In 3 weeks, none of the kids would be in compliance because she demanded too many things. OP said, I don't know what state that was, but that's totally not legal. Thank you, because it don't seem right. Why are you? No, don't do my kid. Mm-mm. May Day June Moon says, the school I worked at in rural Mississippi, Missouri, asked for a $20 donation from parents if they could pay, and then furnished all supplies to them. Yes, that's the way to do it. Some parents gave individual teachers all a Walmart gift card. Shout out to y'all parents as well. The school supplied everything. We just needed the children to come and we took it from there. I always had what I needed, and it's a Title I district. A volunteer committee takes the time to go back to school sales or oh nice or order what is need for supplies every year. I've never heard of a teacher's list not being fulfilled. Cool. We saved things from year to year, like scissors and rulers, right? Every year my kid need 3 scissors. So now why my child need 3 pairs of scissors? Uh, we sent used supplies home with the kids at the end of the year, like their pencil, box, and crayons. Source is a retired teacher. And the OP replies saying, my school used to be a Title I school, but unfortunately they raised the percentage from 50 to 60, and we're like under that at 58. It's total BS. We lost so much money in support. Yeah, that's sad. To all the parents out there, please, if you can, donate some supplies. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy that ridiculous list that we can all agree is probably not necessary, but where you can help, buy a kid a pencil or two. Invincible Iron Stan says, maybe I'm crazy, but I find it mildly infuriating that schools aren't required to supply basic stuff like a binder, paper, and pencils to students. Actually, a ton of stuff about public schools makes me mad when I look at the amount me and other taxpayers pay. Current Schedule 1781 says, I don't think I ever once used note cards in school. And you know what? My baby, I sent her to school with note cards. She came home with torn up sheets of paper, like the other teacher said that they were making. So where my baby note cards go? And then I just chalk it up like maybe the teacher, maybe the teacher in college and she needed note cards. Okay, girl, get your degree. I don't know. But just let me know. Like, who want to volunteer to my education? Give us a choice. If it's a writing class, I can see having a notebook that gets turned in for assignments. I was and still kind of am rebellious though. Um, Feisty Salamander 41 says, reminds me of being poor at school, having to wrap textbooks. Well, to do kids had fancy stylish wrapping paper. Myself and my buddies used old bits of wallpaper. And we used all these paper bags and we decorated them things ourselves. Um, the worst was we had to write a paper on what we did during summer break. Obviously, as a poor kid, I spent my summer wandering around outside with my mates, watching TV and playing video games. I had a very short essay. Teacher stood me up in front of the class and compared my 1 or 2 page handwritten work against a kid who had typed, printed, bound, and laminated all. That would be my child. And all other fancy stuff for early 90s made me feel real messed up. He didn't say messed up, but y'all get it. OP says, D, that sucks. We are explicitly told not to have them write about what they did over the summer for that exact reason. They understand that not everyone can afford to go on vacation or do cool things. Sometimes you're just chilling at your house, reading, or playing outside, or playing 5-year-old video games, right? Rebottle of Shampoo says, I bought double the supply list for my 2 kids. So I bought for 4 because I can't afford to do that much at least. And I plan to give the extra supplies to my kids' teacher. That's a finger heart. So they have extras because the own brand supplies are twice the price of others. Cool. OP says, that's awesome. I always appreciate donations from parents. Yes, we do. It's never expected or required, but it's always nice. Indeed. I can agree to that. Um, Minnie St. Louis says, I remember a gal in high school who had to borrow a pencil and a piece of paper. I don't think she was poor. I think she and her parents didn't give a S at all. I was a dork and picked up drop pens and pencils, probably had 30 plus in the dork. Oh, maybe they talk about that book, The Dork Diaries of a Dork or something like that. Um, in the dork plastic zipper bag in my notebook. I didn't mind helping her out, just couldn't wrap my head around bothering to come without a single sheet of paper and something to write on. Maybe she didn't have it. The OP says, I feel you. Sometimes these kids come with no supplies and they're walking around with $150 Jordans and fancy bags and Stanley cups. They got their nails done and their hair done up, but no pencils, huh? Knock it off, parents. Dino Supremo says, I just bought school supplies for my TK student. TK, I don't know. I can't afford it, but the list included a $9 box of crayons. I want to Google that. What crayons cost $9? And a $12 pack of number two pencils. I was befuddled, for sure. I'm befuddled. Nah. The crayons are these twistable crayon ones, and the pencils are reshaped triangular shape Ticonderoga ones. Y'all know the pencil names with the T. It's actually my favorite pencil. When I tell you I love those pencils, they're not the same, but $12. Mine didn't cost $12. I better get on Amazon or go somewhere. I don't know. I guess I don't know anything about anything anymore because I thought he maybe needed a box of crayons that cost a quarter and maybe a folder. Nah, he needed headphones. Yep, they do need headphones. A clipboard and specifically Crayola paint sticks. I roll. OP says, yeah, that's totally unnecessary. A box of pencils from the dollar store, right? Just as good as a box of, no, they don't. Type, y'all know the T pencils. That being said, Ticonderoga pencils are very nice, and I love getting those every once in a while. Sometimes I get donations from parents, and I get a pack of those, and I get really happy about it because yes, those pencils. If you're gonna write with a pencil, if it's not mechanical, my children love mechanical pencils. I myself, I love the Ticonderoga, the ones with the green top. Favorite pencil. They sharpen right. They write perfectly. I love that pencil. SMS 1441 says, I'm incredibly fortunate that my district seems to receive the funds for supplies, but I do live in one of the states with a better education system. Last year, I was only required to buy headphones. Even so, most work seems to be done via Chromebooks now, which I don't love, but it is what it is. I just can't imagine that those kids are actually doing, or what they are actually doing with all of those supplies. And the OP says we do get $300 a year, but that can supply all of my kids all year. It gives me enough money to buy basic supplies, so those who can't afford it can still use them. I usually use the money to buy a bunch of expo markers, notebooks, and pencils, and I can understand the markers too. But in some of this stuff, M3, or maybe it's me, GBOT0T, or maybe it's Megbot. Thank you for this. I have twins going into third grade. Last year, between two elementary supply lists and two appreciated donations lists, we spent close to $100 for public school. And the OP says, well, the appreciated donation sounds optional. I have that on my list too, but I make sure to explicitly state it is not mandatory to get the supplies. These are going to be supplies for the whole class. That includes Kleenex, and different sanitary products like wipes and hand sanitizer. I don't get them a grade for it. I don't give them a grade for it. I don't give extra credit for it. I just tell them if you want to, I would appreciate it. That's what's up. Um, Leah C. Finn says, I have twins in the seventh grade. I had to buy 8 binders last week. That sounds about right, though. Wait, seventh grade? No, it don't. OP says, that's ridiculous. I don't know why teachers feel the need to use binders. Just let them get a D notebook and be done with it. Well, as a former student, I like binders. I like binders because you can the organization, the fact that once you organize your binder, it's kind of like a book. It I like binders. I understand the binders. Notebooks are not the same as binders. Now, the great part about a binder is you can put your notebook in the binder. OP says that's ridiculous. I don't know why teachers feel the need to. Okay, no, we read that. Season 7171 says, I've seen supply lists that specifically, I be having a hard word with that, I be feeling like Baby Joker. Specifically, the brand of the item. Of course, it's the most expensive. The OP says, yes, that's crazy for real. I'm just happy if my students have a notebook and a pen or pencil, lol. Even though I do require them to have colored pencils and note cards. If they don't, I either supply them or have alternatives. For example, I teach I teach my kids how to make note cards using loose leaf paper. I make sure you can get all the supplies I require from the dollar store. Shut Up D says, I work in SPED, special education, and we tell most parents to just get what you know will work for your child, period. If it's a big binder with loose leaf paper or 5 notebooks, do what you need. A lot of items can also last several years, like headphones and even pencil cases. I get $1.50 head earphones from Target for my kids as backups, and I keep some of my students. I may or may not have a mini staple between my house and Staples and office, but I can't request my students to purchase supplies, so need to use my budget very wisely. So I need to use my budget very wisely, or just buy the things that I know would be best. Like D, expensive Frixion erasable pens. I had to remove needed teaching supplies from my budget list this year since I ran out of certain assessment testing materials that cost so much money. Uh, I go through tissues and paper towels like crazy with my students, and I purchase them myself. Since the school won't provide it, our nurse will give me some under the table, though. Shout out to your nurse. School nurses matter too. Punch a Sheep says, the really annoying thing for me this year, got a first grader, was teacher specific specifying the brand of supplies, and it's always the expensive brand. Forget that. I'm sorry. I'm buying Walmart brand stuff. Fat and bald white boy says, I remember getting a failing grade from a teacher in third grade because my mom didn't supply the 5 boxes of Kleenex on the list. The teacher, instead of calling my mom, would pester me about it, turning me in some messenger, and my mom didn't have the money at the time. It's ridiculous what some teachers get away with. That was probably 25 years ago, though. That really lived with him or her. But what I was going to say about this one. When my children have issues with adults, I'll be like, tell them come talk to your mom. She here. But what you're not going to do is pester my child all year. And my kids know, you got to tell me so I can talk to the teacher. Not in a disrespectful way, but why are you, we don't have it. Or I'd have sent it. Light Box Brad MD says, in elementary school, I take a cold lunch, but my mom would send me with some change for milk. One time, there accidentally was a Canadian nickel in my change. I'm from the US. And the lunch lady flipped out and told me, "You need to tell your mother she needs to send real money." To which I replied, "Sorry if we're poor." The lunch lady clammed up and may have even apologized the next day. In retrospect, my retort wasn't super logical, but it was pretty good for a first grader. I also remember it being a genuine concern, though. We had little money, so there may not have been a replacement nickel available at home. It's not funny, but like, leave that kid alone. Like, I don't like people. I don't like when adults bother kids. Like, let kids live their happy, carefree lives. You send them stressing him out about a nickel. You got 5 pennies. Grade 23 said, "My mom was in ICU coma ward for most of my childhood before she passed. I had a teacher being an absolute ick to the school one day, to the class one day, and asked if we were all brain D. After class, I walked up to her to tell her that my mom had actually been brain D for the last 3 years. So if she could chill, that'd be great. Obviously, not verbatim. I've never seen someone face drop and flush so quickly in my life, but she was significantly more present after that. Oh, whew. Jesus, Skyward dash slash says, "No kid should be yelled at or shamed over something so trivial. My blood is boiling." No, for real, you have 5 pennies. Why are you stressing this kid out? Fat and white boy, fat bald and white boy says, "My same elementary would take away a child's lunch and give them a cold cheese sandwich if they didn't have money." Me, how can you literally take food from a kid? I understand the school may have to make their money, and the lunch. See, that's why the lunch ladies be getting the bad rep. But to physically take food from a kid, not cool. Meanwhile, other kids are getting free lunch because their families knew how to apply for those programs. Back then, I didn't think anything of it. As an adult, they are straight up just shaming poor families and making the children suffer. F the public school system sometimes. Uh, Gatore says, "This is why and I'm going to read some more replies for about 10 more minutes, and then I am going to get out of here. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in to my tens and tens of friends. Y'all know that's a finger heart because I be having a hard time with that hand heart. What I learned is your fingertips have to connect to make a heart. Because at first I was like, why? I can't make a hand heart to save my life. But it is your fingertips. But if you, that's my finger heart. Um, Gatore says, "This is why I'm so glad that since the vid, y'all know what the vid is, our school district has continued to just provide free lunches. Kids shouldn't have to worry about this stuff, and I'm more than happy for my tax dollars to pay for it." I think they did the same thing in my district where the kids can get school free lunch. I believe that was actually a thing. Um, Violetta Blueberry says, "This why free breakfast and lunch should be provided for every kid, no questions in public school." I have makeup in my nails. Where was I at? Too many kids go hungry for no good reason. Not on my watch. Man, Mandolin Pebbles says, "Seriously, lunch lady, a nickel?" Some adults never grow out of high school bully phase, and I agree. Cause a nickel, you got 5 pennies. Quit playing. Itty bitty lurker says, "I know they must take some flack from their bosses about the money. Hmm. But GD, do some school lunch workers seem to take glee in shaming the kids in the front and line in front of their peers? Like, how the H is it my fault? I didn't know I was out of lunch money. I'm 6." They do. I've worked before in after school care in the elementary school before, and I remember like I would make sure that my children would get to breakfast, and I would have some kids come back and looking sad, like it's no money on my account. And I walk back up there. Excuse me, how much? $1.23? Can't you just like put it on their account and bill them at the end of the year? You know, I don't know. You can't graduate without paying your school lunch fee. I don't know, but to deny them food or give them cold cheese sandwiches is insane. Guess I'll drive myself earlier tomorrow. Call mom if you're so bent out of shape about it. You have to bully and shame a kid. Right. Reversible raincoat says, I received a failing grade on my birthday, no less, on an assignment in high school because my assignment was provided in black and white. We'd been explicitly told to print in color, but the school library only had a black and white printer, not a color printer. And my family didn't have money to buy a color printer for our printer, color ink for our printer. My teacher was young. And so adult me hopes he learned. Inner child me holds a grudge. No, don't most people don't have printers in their home. I happen to because I'm a teacher and yeah, and I have children in school, so yeah. Beck be careful says the way the teacher handled that is moronic. Moronic. But the root problem is the fact that the school don't even have a budget for effing Kleenex boxes in the classroom. Yeah, no. In a country where there is an endless supply of taxpayer money for the military industrial complex, there is more than enough money to properly fund schools. And Careless Amoeba 77541 says schools in my area did away with mandatory communal supplies years ago. Curious how they got away with a failing grade over supplies, right? Eden Ganesha says, I nearly failed sophomore biology because the AH requires specifically colored pens for note taking. Notes weren't graded. I told him straight up that my mom said we didn't have money for that and that if I complained, I'd get the belt. You think he cared? Now I'm really going to get the belt. Oh, God. It's not funny, but the stress kids be going through just trying to get their education. No, I know it's education. But Mystical Turtles says, I told the teacher to call my parents their D cells when something like that happened. Then that's what I tell mine. Tell them to call your mama. They want to talk. Tell them to talk to me. I then witnessed the teacher getting cursed out, torn a new one, and basically told to go F herself. I literally told her that would happen. I don't know what she expected. Either the school gives me supplies for special notes like that, or you're getting a printer paper with color pencil drawings because that's all I have access to. And why would you shame or give someone a lower grade for something they clearly can't help? So, 4 more minutes, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much to my tens and tens of friends for rocking with me. A few more posts and I am out. The OP says, oh, wait, let's read this first. TN Artist 1 says, moved from teaching elementary school to middle school last year. There were metal detectors. I quit. Installed, and one of my duties was at a detector. Some of the things that have been removed from your backpack and handed around the detectors were 3 ring binders, scissors, eyeglasses, cases, Chromebooks, iPads, spray deodorant, sports kids, and ones worried about stinking. Uh, Once these were handed over, the student goes through the backpack, purse, and whatever else. It was the first year with metal detectors. I sure hope a bunch of teachers limit the binder requirements. Kids were struggling with 3 ring binders, Chromebooks, and all of that. Then having to put it all back in their book bag, but not being allowed to stop in the hallway. Unfortunately, I will still be requiring scissors for art class as most of mine disappeared once I was absent due to a heart attack in April. Sub didn't notice, I guess. Oh, that'd be the craziest thing when stuff go missing out your classroom. I think I told a story on my last live. In preschool, as a preschool teacher, I worked at a center, which also encouraged me to get my own and to start my own home business. It's been a rain, y'all. I love the rain just in time so I could just chill out, do some work, and look at the rain. My favorite thing to do. Not my favorite thing to do, but it's something about the calmness, the sound, the peacefulness. it gets dark outside, so my white lights around my gate show up nicer. You saw that go out, right? It's not even like rainy yet. I can hear the wind blowing though. But yeah, one of my favorite things to do is to look at the rain. It's so peaceful. It's nap time, which is how I'm here right now with you guys. So I know they're not going to want to get up in a minute. Um, so I'm gonna read this last post and reply, and I'm out. Moved from teaching elementary to middle school last year. Yeah, we went through all that. She didn't notice, I guess. C. Low Green, the OP says, D. Metal detectors. I mean, my school is in a bad area, but not that bad, lol. And there are many more posts and replies to this Reddit, but we're already basically an hour in. So that's all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for joining in. I will catch you in the next one. Bye, Tia.